All right, episode 44. That's me. Some cold cuts. Some cold cuts. Go check us out on 3starrecruits.com. I think Mike is done doing DraftKings for the year. Like he's calling her quits. He was pretty frustrated for the last 3 weeks, and just playoffs is too hard. It's too much of a pain in the ass. And
don't get me into last week.
I sat there, dude. Pay lines last 2 weeks, highest I've ever seen them.
168 I had. No money. And this kid's rubbing it in because
time out. No, time out. I was not fucking rubbing it in. I was trying to figure out how the hell I had 213 points because at one point I'm like, I thought I was fine, and I was like doing stuff around here, and I'm like, how the hell did I get 210 or 213, whatever it was?
He's like, I got 198. I was like, oh, that's a good week. And then like 20 minutes later, 210. 2 minutes later, 213. I was like, you don't have to rub it in.
I didn't know I was getting points. And then it was Denver. I forgot I had Jerry Jeudy.
Oh. Yeah. 168 didn't cash.
154 the week before that.
Yeah.
I've had big weeks with like 140. Like big weeks.
And it seemed like that because there was no scoring in the first half this week.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it just went crazy.
It was ridiculous.
I get bad advice. My buddy lives in Arizona. He texted me. He's like, can you tell me anything about the Bills this week? He's like, I have Allen and Diggs. And he's in his fantasy championship was this week, which is obviously just terrible to have week 17. But he's like, I don't know if to play him or not. I said, I heard potentially first half, but I have no idea. He's like, all right. And then Allen just keeps throwing touchdowns, and he's just sending me the puke face because he had Dalton in.
Why do they do why would you do your championship?
He hated it. He's like, I took the last 2 years off, and I got roped into 3 leagues this year, and this one was week 17. And
yeah, you should never do it week 17.
And it was a 2-quarterback one. So he had Mayfield, and then he had to put Dalton
2 quarterbacks? So they got to have, 14 teams?
No, there's probably like 10. Because you don't want to have too many because you got to have buys. So some teams need 3 quarterbacks on them. So
they do 10 teams. They get playoff buys.
No,
because we have 12. We have 12 teams in our championships on week 16.
Right, but they must have just made it week 7 because you can choose when to obviously start your playoffs. So
yeah, that's weird.
He was like,
yeah, because you pick how many teams start. That's silly.
Yeah, so he sat Diggs, which was good, but then he was pretty upset. I'm sure he's gonna listen to this, so I apologize.
My condolences. Not so much your fault for getting into it.
He might have still won. I have no idea, but
it's true.
He didn't tell me that.
I did not fare well in fantasy this year because my roster looked like an emergency room waiting room, like from like week 4 on. First 2 weeks, I put up a shitload of points and lost, and then after that, it was just like everybody's hurt. Oh, you're on his team, dude. I had a tight end I picked up. My tight end got hurt. I'm like, I'll pick this guy up. He's pretty good. Having a good season. Picked him up before I could play him the next week. He got hurt. That was my fantasy football year. All right, so let's get into. We were just talking. We were in a group text the other day with some people having this discussion about Joe Judge and what the Eagles did the other night on Sunday night. I did find out this Eagles game was flexed to Sunday night.
Right.
They did flex the game because it had playoff implications. Because I know some people said, well, it should have just been on, if it was on, daytime, we wouldn't be talking about it. That's probably true because it would have been going on probably the same time around, the other games.
It is true. Yeah, I would say that.
And that was the only game that really they could have put there that had playoff implications because even if they would have switched and put like the Giants-Dallas night game, that potentially wouldn't have mattered if Washington won earlier, so then it wouldn't have mattered. So it was the only one that really had, no matter who won at 1 or 4, really mattered to that game.
The only game I thought they could have possibly moved was like Colts game.
But
the problem was because there was an impact of what happened in this game. It was a drama thing.
But because Miami lost, the Colts were in.
Didn't they have? They still had to win.
That's true.
Because if the Colts lost, Miami was in it.
Yeah, but it would have made a big difference, right? If they did that, but then Tennessee played and had won. They knew they couldn't win the division, so they wanted obviously them to play at the same time, so there wasn't those issues. But
so I tweeted Peralta last night because I like listening to Matt's stuff, but sometimes I think he doesn't really. I don't agree with some of his tweets, and that's just whatever. It's social media. And you like my tweet, and I don't know if you went back and did what I suggested. I spent the whole morning because I've been home this week doing stay-at-home dad stuff for my first week. Always back to work. So I'm spent a lot of time sitting, feeding the baby, holding the baby, that kind of thing. And I have ESPN on TV, and every segment, whether it be First Take, Wake Up, all these guys that are bringing people on, everybody's talking about, and they show that clip of him saying, like, we would never disrespect the game. And that clip starts, like, at a certain point, every one of them. We would never disrespect the game. The Giants wouldn't do that. And then, of course, all these experts are coming on and saying, Joe Judge doesn't have a right to talk about another team like that. And the whole time I start digging in, I'm like, does anybody want to talk about what he was asked? I mean, he clearly was going to be asked this question by the media the next day in media day. Every team had their like last media day for the year, and he made himself available to media. Clearly something got asked. And I was nice about it to Peralt. I said, I suggest you go back and look at the entire interview, because all day it's been this one blip and this one little clip of him talking, but we don't want to talk about the rest of the conversation and what led up to that. And if you go back and watch the interview, Joe Judge clearly says, because I asked him if he'd watched the game, and he said, I didn't. I had it on in the background. I wasn't watching it. He said he was watching film from another game. I was in my office. He said the bottom line is we had 16 chances this year to take care of our own business, and we didn't do that. And I knew coming to the organization it was going to be a building process, and I knew that's what it was going to be. We had some injuries. Kind of went into the whole thing like we had our chances, and he openly said that. But somebody clearly asked him about, to the effect of, would you do this, or however you want to do it. And I don't disagree with what Joe Judge said at all. He made a very valid point. Like, look, these guys went through hell this year just to get to every Sunday. We'll be testing every day, just the bullshit they had to get through. And then to just yank them off the field and act like you don't give a shit if you win the game, that is, in my opinion, disrespectful to the player.
Yeah, and I guess to Joe Judge's point, if you have to say that, right? That you're not going to disrespect the game until you're in that situation. Because if he's in that situation, and for all we know, Pederson's getting told from leadership, this is what, at halftime, he's like, if this is close, you need to. Now, who knows what the difference between the 6th and the 9th pick were?
Yeah, that was the difference in winning and losing, right?
But which isn't much, but depending on what they are looking for, it could be big at that point. So I understand, but until you're in that situation and who's telling you what, they may be telling you, like Jacksonville, obviously they played Glennon, but they tried to make a run on Indy in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I did see that.
Which wouldn't have mattered. They already had it wrapped up, the first pick, but that could have been a huge difference.
In Miami and the Colts.
Yeah. So, and obviously Miami's, think about Miami. Obviously, they've got the 3rd pick now because of their trades with Houston. But if Houston wins that game, I think they jump back to like the 5th or 6th pick.
Do they?
Instead of the 3rd pick, which is for Miami, I think that's a huge deal for them.
Right.
Because I think they're only a few pieces away from, obviously they had 10-6 this year.
Right.
So they're only a couple pieces away from having a good team.
And my point was clearly just put some context to it. I sat here all day and watched the same clip over and over, and then people reacted and had arguments about it. I'm like, let's put some context to what was the guy asked. We're just showing this little blip of what he said. No one's talking about what he was asked, and everybody's saying like, well, he shouldn't give a shit about what they were just going off. And I'm like, he clearly said we should have won more games, but you guys didn't show that clip. He said it more than once. We had 16 chances to take care of business this year, and we didn't.
Yeah.
Clearly said that. And no point was he ever said he was pissed off at the Eagles for losing on purpose.
Right.
He wasn't. He just simply said we had 16 chances, we didn't get it done. Would I have done that? Probably not.
And for all, I guess you want to go, but for all we know, even if they leave Hurts in that game, you don't know if Eagles win that game or not.
I think they have a better chance.
They definitely have a better chance, but you still don't know if they win that game or not.
Right.
Well, kind of threw the Joe Judge thing at me. I hadn't heard about that. Didn't realize we were going with that. From the Eagles' standpoint, can you turn this mic down a little bit?
Yeah, sure.
2, right? 3. It's probably too much. Yeah.
I think this whole thing was amplified because they were on Sunday Night Football.
Yeah.
And just in case anyone doesn't realize what's going on. So they were, my understanding, they were within 3 points. It was a 3-point game, correct? And did they pull him in the early fourth quarter?
Start of the fourth?
Yeah. Or
The first,
early
I think it was the
fourth,
first possession
yeah.
of the fourth.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they were within 3 points of
3 or
Washington.
6. Yeah, I don't remember exactly when it was.
Three.
Yeah, and they pulled Jalen Hurts, their starting quarterback, and put in Sudfeld, is it?
Yeah.
Who is, what, a fourth year?
His 4th year with the Eagles, but he's been he's probably 8th or 9th year in the league, I'm guessing.
Oh.
So that was
That makes it even worse.
Yeah.
So if they claim they were trying to evaluate Sudfeld, that's a complete horseshit excuse for this whole thing. And Sunday Night Football, you have a lot of casual viewers, right? So no matter what I'm doing on Sunday night, if I'm doing something around the apartment, I always have Sunday Night Football on, and I pay attention a little bit. And it doesn't really matter who's playing. It's a national stage. Most teams view it as somewhat of a honor is not the right word, but it's a positive thing to be on a nighttime national football game.
They pride themselves on having primetime games.
Yeah. And so to get within 3 points late in the game and pull your starting quarterback because you want to evaluate an 8th or 9th year schmuck that I quite frankly had never heard of.
Me either.
It's just ridiculous. And yeah, if I agree, if this game was
So this was his 5th year.
okay.
He was drafted by the Redskins.
Okay. So that I don't know, that doesn't change anything for me. 5th year, 8th year.
He hasn't thrown a snap since 2018.
I'd never heard of him.
You throw the football, not a snap.
Sorry.
There's
Good time to chime in, huh?
God. There's no way the Eagles weren't aware of the situation. If this game was at 1 o'clock, yeah, we're probably not talking about it.
Right.
If they had announced a couple days earlier that we want to evaluate Sudfeld, even though I don't buy into that, if they had said we're going to evaluate him, we're going to start him, and he's going to play the whole game, then so be it. If Washington was winning the game by 30 points,
We're not talking
cares?
about it. Right.
Yeah.
But in a 3-point game, to make any excuse for pulling your starting quarterback just looks horrible.
And Hurts scored the only touchdowns for him.
And to me, you should still be evaluating Hurts, right? He's only
Yeah.
played in 7-8 games.
You've been going through this or this whole season of you didn't know what was going on with Wentz, and you finally pulled the trigger from the guy you just drafted.
Yeah, and I think that is a good game to have to evaluate Hurts because Washington has a very good front seven.
Yeah.
I think I found out who the problem is in Philly this week. Not that I'm an Eagles fan. I don't really give a shit. And for the record, I don't really care what Giants fans have to say. The fact that you're pissed off at the Eagles, like, you shouldn't be that stupid. Like, the fact that you put your fate in other teams' hands, like, I understand you would like them to try, but at the same time, it's like, yes, you should have still won more games. The issue to me is Pederson disrespecting his team and his players. Those guys bust their ass for you to do what you did. It is extremely, and I've read so much about this and heard so much after the fact that Kelsey approached him on the sidelines.
Yeah.
They said 2 players wanted to fight him.
Yes.
Yeah. And a couple players
And said-
today and yesterday have
said-
gone on radio shows.
Said nobody was in favor of it.
Miles Sanders,
So my question
most
is,
notably.
someone said to us that he said he was going to play Sudfeld. I never saw anything on that.
So,
I
yeah,
tried
and
looking-
obviously it was an Eagles fan letting us know that. So, obviously we don't follow the Eagles or probably cared that Sudfeld was
but I
going to
couldn't
play.
find anything on that.
Yeah, who knows if he ever said it or not.
But why would you, like Russ said, why would you evaluate a guy who's this isn't senior night in high school basketball? Like, I want him to get some snaps. Like, it's a 3-point game.
Yeah.
Like, and it's clearly you got to have some respect for the guys on the field. I get you're not going to make the playoffs, and I don't expect you to play for the Giants, but I think we saw it with the Jets. There's a pride thing. You still want to win week to week.
Yeah.
The Jets could have packed it in and said, "Oh, fuck it, let's go in 16."
You wish they did.
But did you see how excited? Yeah, did you see how excited those guys were when they won, and then they won again? Like, there's a pride thing. Those guys do bust their ass, and I just think it's bullshit what he did, and then to blatantly lie about it.
Yeah. Well, and the thing that makes it worse is Rivera saying thanks to Pederson at midfield.
I did see that.
And that was caught on mics clearly. He's like, hey, thanks.
Yeah,
like, that looks 100 times worse.
Again, I'm not an Eagles fan, so I don't really care. And Pederson, I have the impression he's a clown, but I would have almost respected this more if he did this and then came out and said, yeah, you know what, I hate the Giants. I wanted to screw them.
Right.
Yeah.
If he had said that, I'd been like, that's a bold move, but you know what? Oh, okay.
Right, and this is exactly why the NFL, usually, definitely the last week of the season, sometimes the last two, you always play division games.
Yeah.
Because they have bigger implications on playoffs and things like that.
Yeah.
So someone said they sat players already. They already said they were going to sit players.
Right, yeah, because like Miles Sanders and a couple other guys didn't play.
Okay, that's fine. Whatever.
Yeah, if you sit them before, and like we talked about, even if you said at halftime you bring Sudfeld in, it just looks 100 times worse when you do it in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
In a close game, a one-score game.
Hurts is your evaluation.
Right.
Your excuse that you're evaluating is bullshit because your evaluation should be Hurts. By the way, did you know that this Sudfeld, he actually took a pay cut this year and restructured his contract to remain a third-string quarterback in Philly? That's how valuable he is.
I mean, that's a hell of a job, though.
Did he have a bonus if he played like 3 snaps? And did he got like
Don't know.
another 100,000?
Yeah, but he lost it when he threw a pick and a fumble.
To me, the issue is Pederson. I wish Joe Judge wouldn't have got roasted. I'm not a Giants fan. I don't give a shit because I think that shouldn't have been the conversation.
Right.
The clip was not fair to him.
That franchise, until I forget Howie, I think is his name, their GM, until he's gone, or maybe he's their owner, I don't know. Their GM. Until their GM is gone, that franchise is in trouble. They won a Super Bowl 3 years ago. I don't know if I've ever seen a team after a Super Bowl drop off that fast.
Yeah.
I was trying to think about that. I don't know the last time a team dropped off that fast after a Super Bowl. Now, a lot of people said, they went all in on that Super Bowl. But I don't remember anyone that was like crazy that they had. They had some defensive guys that since have left because of free agency.
I've heard that too. Like they sold their soul to basically win the Super Bowl, but at the same time, like
which everybody's saying that Tampa did, but Tampa literally brought in Brady. Like they already had Evans and Godwin. So like
the only thing they did was pay up for Brady and brought in Gronk. That's not
what. And I don't understand where Philly quote unquote sold their soul to win the Super Bowl because they weren't a favorite.
No,
and Wentz was on his second year out.
Yeah, Wentz probably had an MVP year that year, close to it.
And then he got hurt.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know where that came from, but
I think we know where the problem is because, like you said, I've never seen a downfall like that. Well, Wentz had a great season, and Frank Reich was the offensive coordinator, correct?
Yeah.
And now he's gone, doing pretty good things in Indianapolis, and then you completely drop off. The players clearly just don't like this guy. They pissed the players off enough where they're coming out on radio shows and everything, being very open about it.
Yeah, and
like and they said nobody was in favor of this and nobody knew about it. It's just bullshit.
Yeah, and I think it was, I sent you guys the text in the group. Wentz, Kelsey, and Ertz were all on the sideline. They said they left they were out there until like 1:45, just talking, the three of them. Now, Wentz obviously still on contract. I think Ertz is a free agent, so he'll be out of there, and I think Kelsey is as well. Mm-hmm. But clearly, when you have 3 veteran guys, now obviously they said some of it they probably would have been in the locker room if it wasn't for COVID and stuff, so they could be out in the open air. But to be out there in probably sub 30 degree temperatures,
I could have found a better place to talk about it
for 2 hours.
Set up a Zoom call
is crazy.
Hey, it was the 3 of them and their head of security.
Yeah, that is it.
Yeah, the Pederson thing pisses me off. Like I'm not even a Colts fan. I don't have a team. I have a dog in this fight, but I've definitely noticed this like arrogance come about him. It's just floated more and more. It's like the old expression, like, shit floats too, right? It's definitely come to the surface by the end of the year. We found out that we've talked for weeks that is Wentz the problem is, do they need to go to, what I did. Wentz was not playing well. He led the league in interceptions, sacks taken, turnovers. They needed to go to Hurts and make a change. And now we go to Hurts. They're still mediocre. And then he pulls this stunt on Sunday Night Football and it's in front of everybody. And they're like, well, now we know who the problem is. It's you, buddy.
Think about that. He led the league this year in turnovers and sacks, and he didn't play the last 4 or 5 games.
Yep.
Which is just crazy number. He had, I think, he sacked 50 times this year.
He hangs on the ball too much, or too long, I guess, is the correct answer. So, you said you had a theory for me on Pittsburgh. I'm really curious.
Yeah. So obviously we've talked. They've obviously
Because that was the rebuttal.
The rebuttal was, Pittsburgh rested players. I understand they did, but they have not looked good the past 4 weeks until the second half of the Indy game.
Right.
So you're saying that one half that you look good in the last 4 games is good enough for you for the playoffs? I don't think so. It definitely shouldn't have been.
Right.
I would think you would want to play those guys and get, even like the Bills. Obviously, they played guys for the first half.
Yeah.
Like, why not come out and say, all right, we're going to play the first half because we looked good in the second half of the Indy game. Why not see if we found out what made us a good football team to start the year? Because you're right, because those 3, they lost 3 in a row and then did not look good in the first half of the Indy game.
They squeaked out.
Yeah, so to me, that you want to have momentum going to the playoffs.
Yeah. Took me a minute to figure out what you were saying there. Yeah, I can dig that. I could also see the argument. Yeah. I can also see the argument that we've talked about Big Ben's age and how he's deteriorating.
And they had their bye week 4.
The Steelers,
which is
I thought that
really
got
have it.
That got COVID affected. They basically did not have a bye week.
Yeah.
So
their longest break was week 4-ish. So
yeah,
which is obviously a long time ago.
Yeah. So I guess you got to weigh what you're saying against getting somebody like Roethlisberger a week, basically a bye week before the playoffs. And if you're going to rest your quarterback, you might as well rest other players.
Right. And
in my opinion.
They didn't rest anybody. Well, a couple of defensive guys, I think.
The rest of defensive players,
yeah. Well, they said Casey Hayward didn't play because of the COVID issues with the Browns. They didn't, because he would be obviously in the trenches. But I'm like, that's anybody. Like, so you're going to play the rest of your guys? Just Hayward's the one guy you're going to protect? I don't know. That's what people were saying. I don't know if that's true what came out. But, like, if they lose to the Browns this week, everybody's going to go back and be like, should you have rested your players last week? That's what it's going to come back to if the Browns end up winning this week.
I've never been a big Steelers hater. I don't really care.
Yeah, I don't. I like Tomlin, but
I think that I've actually had my full of bullshit from Steelers fans this year, and they're just delusional. I had a Steelers fan tell me the other day that I'm like, you guys really need to draft a quarterback. You should have drafted one last year. No. Big Ben's going to play another 2 years.
Oh, stat boy's laughing.
I'm like, what are you I'm like, Ben's not going to be around forever and be your savior.
They probably should have drafted one 2 years ago.
Yeah. I'm like, the guy is old.
He can't move.
I think he's got a bum knee right now because he got Pop standing in the pocket too long.
Yeah, he can't throw. No strength on his throw.
I think he's just beat up from 18 years in the NFL.
Oh no, he's gonna be around for a couple more years.
Wow, that statement might be true though. Doesn't mean they're going to be high quality years and they're going to compete. But
I mean, at some point you got to face reality and say, hey, we might have to suck for a year or two to get it.
I think we talked about that a week or two ago, saying I think the Steelers need to address quarterback, potentially draft one this year. I could see Roethlisberger starting next year with somebody, hopefully a valid replacement in the wings, learning.
Right. Yeah. You instead of bringing someone in, now obviously a lot of teams have done this and they struggle a year or two, is drafting a quarterback and then he's starting right away. Yeah. Right? It very rarely does that team make the playoffs with a rookie quarterback.
Yeah.
I've always been a big proponent of, if you're going to draft that quarterback, you play that quarterback.
Right. And now I believe Juju's a free agent. Not that he's been, but he's a decent, I'll call him their number 2, potentially their number 3 because of Deontay Johnson and Claypool. Yeah. I mean, to have, I don't know what he probably had, 60, 70 catches this year. That's still a good year for a second or third.
He's not a free agent, is he?
He is a free agent.
Wow. He's been in the league that long?
He's probably coming off his rookie deal, probably.
Off his rookie deal, yeah.
Probably 4 years, 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see where he goes then. Is he going to want to head back to the West Coast? And
right, yeah. He went to USC, so.
Interesting. I didn't know he was a free agent.
I think there's far less locational allegiance when it comes to like went to USC. That
Right.
to me, that doesn't mean shit when it comes to he's
money.
going to want to
Yeah.
go to a California
Well,
team to
right.
play football.
Yeah, I think some guys it does matter. Like Robert Woods, that's why he went to the Rams, is because he played at USC. But
Yeah.
at least that's what he said.
I
But,
think it matters to 5% of
Right.
players.
yeah,
If I had to guess,
Players maybe on the back end of their career want to be closer to home,
yeah, something like that.
which, not to go down a different rabbit hole, but the rumor is J.J. Watt to Green Bay.
right.
He's done I think he's done in Houston. It's just, I saw a video of him the other day
him-
walking off the field.
Him with Watson,
He apologized to
they
Watson.
were like apologizing to each other.
It was tough. I mean, you go back and look at the numbers. Watson had an outstanding year. I think he led the league in passing yards.
Yeah, I know this isn't a popular opinion among Bills fans, but I think Watson's probably best second best quarterback in the AFC.
Behind who?
Mahomes. I think he's very good.
Oh, he's good.
He does it all.
Right.
He never gives up, and we saw that he could have mailed it in
Jesus.
4 weeks ago.
I mean, if you trade Allen for Watson straight up going into the season, I think we could still go 13-3.
Oh yeah, still the same spot. Yeah. You think about what he had, how well he played this year, and he lost Hopkins.
Yeah. He dealt with a couple injuries in the middle of the season there.
Right.
I hadn't heard the J.J. Watt rumors. I don't know, hadn't thought about him at all.
Right, and
more
a free
so
agent
than
right now.
more so than locational desires when you're a free agent.
Does he want to play with his brother?
If I was J.J. Watt, I'd want to go to like Pittsburgh and
That's the other
play in
rumor.
the same line as my brother.
That's the rumor right now.
Yeah.
Steelers
Yeah,
or
Pittsburgh.
Green Bay.
And obviously they're both playoff contenders, so he could go back to the playoffs. Because he's probably only been in playoffs, I'm gonna guess, 4 times in his career.
Yeah, I'm not really sure on that. Stat boy would have looked that one up.
Probably, I would say probably 3 or 4 times. Yeah.
Yeah, probably, I don't know how many times Texans have made the playoffs, but it can't be many. So
Anyway, do you guys want to review? It is 2021. We're supposed to do some reflection here, so you want to do a look back on our predictions
yeah,
of who we had for divisional winners, and
I look back, mine were okay, not great.
I don't think mine were good at all. Stat boy, were you with us when we did those picks or no?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Probably not.
I
He
think
was,
he
yeah,
was.
he was.
I think we caught him off guard with them, and he just kind of pulled his phone up and pulled him out of his ass.
He did.
Did he?
Yeah,
You pull
He
things
looks
out of your ass like
so-
rabbits?
He looks so confused right now.
Dude, I want the
He's
mullet right
Googling
now.
something, so
Yeah.
I'm pretty
He's
lost.
still, yeah. For everybody watching,
That
he's still
goop.
got the mullet.
It's got flow. It's got curls.
Yeah, he's got curls now.
Salad's the proper term these days.
Sure.
He's got salad.
That's more of a hockey term, though. Yeah. He's got the
Don't they
salad.
call it lettuce?
Yeah, a little lettuce.
Yeah. I
Looks high as shit.
What?
I would disagree with that tonight.
Yeah, I would too.
So we predicted the division winner, the 8 division winners. I unfortunately only got 3 out of 8 correct. The only one, so I got Buffalo, the Chiefs, which Chiefs were probably the easiest pick, and then Seattle. The AFC South, I had written down toss up Colts. Is that Titans? No. Are they in the same?
Yeah.
Titans are in the South.
Same
Yeah.
division.
Yeah. And must be when we were making the pick, I crossed out Titans.
Seattle win the West?
Yeah,
Did they? Okay.
Yeah. So I only got 3: Buffalo, KC, and Seattle.
I went 5 of 8. I had Bills, Steelers, Chiefs, New Orleans, and that's it. So 4. Sorry.
I had 4 as well. I had Bills, Chiefs, Saints won the South, didn't they?
Yep.
And then I had Seattle. I also had the Cowboys for the East, which I honestly think if Dak would have stayed healthy, they probably would have won the division.
Oh yeah.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
So, and Dak is going to make a lot of money next year.
This is surprising. None of us picked Green Bay,
No, he didn't.
which is crazy. Think
Yeah.
about. None of us picked Green Bay, and they're the number 1 seed in the NFC. I had
Yeah.
the Vikings. I don't remember. What you
Yeah,
I
guys
had
said.
Vikings.
So did I.
Yeah, I
I
had the
think.
Vikings as well.
I mean, people were down on Aaron Rodgers going into
Right.
this year. I
Yeah,
think
especially with them drafting
we-
a quarterback. I did see
Yeah.
something that said the Green Bay might as well just draft a quarterback in the first round every year if Rodgers going to play like this.
draft another one, and trade Jordan Love, or
Yeah, just keep going.
yeah.
So before we move on to other topics, we do have this little bet for people who don't know. We're going to be doing picking each playoff game against the spread. So we will do this, and then obviously we'll review it next week after the games this weekend. And then, are we announcing our picks tonight?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll announce our picks tonight. Go ahead if you're ready over there. By the way, these games are picked with the spread.
Correct. Yeah, everything's with the spread. Let's go. We'll just go game by game here. So first game we have is Bills Colts. Bills are -6.5 right now. I am taking the Bills.
As am I.
Yeah, Bills -6.5.
I'm taking Bills -6.5.
All right, all on the same page there. Our next game we have is Rams Seahawks. Seahawks are -3.5, which is an interesting spread because it's just over a field goal.
Yep. I'm taking the Seahawks -3.5.
Seahawks -3.5 as well.
I had the Rams +3.5.
Ooh,
I'm taking Seahawks. I went back and forth on this because obviously a big factor is Jared Goff playing.
yeah.
I still have no idea. He's been throwing a football this week.
That kid looked pretty good last week. Got him a win.
He did. He got him in the playoffs. But, yeah, so I went back and forth on this, but I'm going to take Seahawks. Russell Wilson, I think, his experience takes over.
Yep.
Our next game, Bucks football team.
Bucks football team.
Bucks -7.5.
The amount of times those guys slipped up on Sunday Night Football and said Redskins and then immediately apologized for it. They should have had an over-under on that.
There probably was.
So,
Prop bet of the week there.
Yeah.
this is the only game I struggled to pick. Washington, I think, has a good defense, especially that defensive front. Me personally, I just don't think they can score enough points to keep up with the Bucks. So I'm taking the Bucks -7.5.
Taking Washington +7.5.
Brady trouble, but I just it's Washington's offense that concerns me.
I'm just hoping for a backdoor cover.
Sounds good.
Fourth game, Ravens, Titans. Ravens -3.
I think this is kind of a coin flip.
That's how I saw it too.
I'm surprised the spread was 3 on this, to be honest.
Yeah. I think Derek
I think it's up to 3.5 even now.
Is it?
is it. I'm taking the Titans +3.
Taking Titans +3 as well.
Titans +3.
Ravens -3.
This guy.
Lamar's playing well.
So is Derrick Henry.
Hey, he won me some money. 2,000 yards.
Oh, yeah. What was
I
that
put-
bet worth?
+370. I put a unit on him 3 weeks ago. So coming in the last 2 weeks, he needed like 215, and I was like, or 315. I was like, oh, that's not bad. Then when he only had 92 against Green Bay, I was like, oh shit, this is in trouble. And he kept running. I was texting these guys. I'm like, dude, 8 yards, or I was like 70 yards. Then he had like a 55-yard run. I was like, oh, 14 yards. Let's go.
That's when they pull him out of the game.
No, they were all
needed
in.
it.
They had to win division. Our fifth game of the Super Wild Card weekend. Bears Saints -9.5.
I think this is blowout city. I'll take the I'll take
Blowout City.
I'll take the Saints -9.5.
No, it's New Orleans.
Yeah. Since Russ is the mayor of Blowout City, I'm going to come be the secretary. I'm also going to go Saints -9.5.
Taylor's trying to come up with a word.
No, I just
He doesn't know. He
I
wants to
feel
know
like
why
an
the
idiot
Lions aren't on here.
if I'm going to take the Bears because someone's got to win money here. I can't follow suit the whole way
It's
around.
going to carry on next week and then the Super Bowl.
Yeah, you're right. I'll take Bears.
You took the Bears?
The Bears, watch.
So
Now it's 2021, but come on.
So
I don't
I'm,
know what's going to happen here.
I'm kind of with Taylor on this. I think the defense holds it close,
So it's possible.
but I'm taking the Saints 9.5. I think the Bears are going to make this game a lot closer than people think. Obviously, the Saints looked real good last week.
Yeah.
Breeze looked a little better, but
Normal size pads on, jersey. Like a 6-year-old there swimming in an adult T-shirt.
So yeah, I don't know. I think the Bears might hold that close. I would not surprise me to see the Bears, that like a 3-point game. And final game of the weekend, Browns Steelers -6.
I think the Browns win this game straight up, so I will take the Browns.
Stole my thunder because I was going to say Browns +6, and I also think they win the game.
Yeah.
I had Steelers -6.
I'm taking the Browns. I know Stefanski's obviously not coaching because of COVID, but
Kind of offensive coordinator.
as I heard directly from the mouth of Aaron Rodgers yesterday on the Pat McAfee show, Alex Van Pelt is very talented. So he is the one calling plays this weekend, so I'll take the Browns. I don't think they'll lose anything.
It just seems sacrilege to ever pick a bet in favor of the Browns.
Is it, though?
I mean, I think I would cheer.
I'm not quite ready yet. Maybe next year.
I'll cheer for the Browns. They're similar to the Bills.
18 years in the playoffs.
They struggle, but if the Bills and Browns ever play, obviously it's different.
I want to see them do good, but God, I wouldn't ever bet in favor of them doing something for me.
I'll throw my name on this, and then we can review it next week. See where we're at.
6 for 6.
Sweet.
So even
Everybody turn your homework in.
Right here, guys. Right here.
Great to
before we hop
later.
off, so obviously announced the 15 finalists for the Hall of Fame. So I just want to get your guys' quick yes, no, whether you think this guy's a... Now, some guy, like I think Russ made a couple of these names you won't recognize.
I was going to say, there's going to be a lot of these that I really don't
Probably names I don't even
quite
recognize.
have an opinion on, but
I don't know if you want to get in on this, Stat Boy, or not, but... So we'll just go quick yes or no. What do you think Hall of Famer? Jared Allen.
Yes.
Well, you're actually grading this? This
No,
is just an opinion thing?
I'm writing mine down.
Oh, okay. No. Not enough longevity.
I don't think he is either. He had a couple good years, but nothing. Rondé Barber.
Yes.
I'm saying no.
This is one of the Barber brothers, right?
Yeah, the defensive back.
Defensive
Played
back
for
from
Tampa.
Yeah. I'm going to say no.
Tony Baselli.
No.
Don't know.
Yes, I'm going to say yes because he was I believe he was the Jaguars' first pick in the expansion draft. So I think that'll play a factor in this.
Really?
Okay.
All right. Well,
That's the Philly non-integrity answer. If
thought-
they vote him in for that.
Well, he had
being
a good
draft
year,
pick.
but I think that'll play a piece of it.
didn't who drafted the one the car? Oh, it was the Texans drafted the car kid.
Yeah.
In the expansion. Okay.
Leroy Butler. I don't know who this is. I had to look him up. He was a defensive back for Green Bay.
I'm going to say no.
I was going to say, you're going to have,
I'm going to say no.
there's going to be a big part of this list that I don't even know who they are.
You'll get some. Alan Faneca.
No.
I'm going to say yes, but
No.
he's just offensive lineman. Torrey Holt.
Yes.
He was receiver for the
Rams.
Super Bowl ring, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean that. I don't know how much it plays in part in the Hall of Fame, but
I guess yes.
I'm going to say no on him. Megatron. I think this is a very interesting. Did not play long.
man.
Had very good stats.
We got a Lions fan over there. His ears just like.
All right.
He just
I just don't know
You're
how
right.
it wouldn't be.
I don't know if the Lion. I don't know. It's tough.
Stat boy, who played more seasons, Megatron or Barry Sanders?
That's a great question.
Okay. That was a good
I'm going to say yes, because I think even though he didn't play too long, he was still, during that stretch, widely considered the best wide receiver in the
I'm going to
league.
say yes as well.
So I think yes.
I'm going to say no this year. I think he will. I think he will get in, but
Okay. All right.
right
okay.
because he's first ballot. So I don't think he gets in this year. Eventually, I think he gets in, but
Okay.
I don't think he'll get in this
You
year.
didn't go over all these rules at the
Sorry.
beginning.
Got to wait till you're 7 picks in.
John Lynch.
Hold on.
So Barry Sanders played 10 years and Megatron played 9 years.
Okay. And Barry Sanders is in the Hall of Fame, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
So-
he's got his number retired and everything, doesn't he?
Yeah.
You're the Lions fan.
That's a loose statement.
So because of that, and this would be an interesting thing to look up. NFL Hall of Famers, what is the average length of their career?
Yeah, you would think receivers are a bit longer than that.
Yeah. So I think
Running backs
I think he
10
gets
years.
in.
Well, nowadays 10 years is a lot for running back. Back then, I don't think it was.
Still think Barry Sanders retired early, even though 10 years.
Right.
Yeah. Yes.
Same with Megatron. But they both played Detroit.
So John Lynch.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yes for me. Peyton Manning.
Yes.
We all know the answer.
Absolutely.
Clay Matthews.
No.
No.
No for me. Sam Mills. He was a linebacker for the
Yeah, I know
Panthers.
he was. No.
Yeah. Don't know him.
I'm going to say no.
First ballot for him, isn't it?
Yes. Richard Seymour. I don't know if Super Bowl rings plays a part of this.
I'm going to say no.
No.
I'm going to say no as well. Zach Thomas.
Slipped my mind who that is.
Linebacker for the Dolphins.
Yeah.
He didn't play long,
Zach.
but he was very good.
No.
I'm going to say yes. Reggie Wayne.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes for me. And I assume it would be overwhelming on this one. Charles Woodson.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes for me. So,
Interesting.
and that'll obviously be a...
Do they have a limit of number they can admit?
No, it's just
Okay.
percentage you get.
Yeah, it's
the percentage, you get 75% or 70% you got to get
sure.
of the votes.
Not sure. Speaking of, we'll move on from NFL now. We got our bets in, got our Hall of Fame in.
One last thing about the Hall of Fame. Kenny Easley and Terrell Davis are the rare Hall of Famers who played fewer than 8 seasons in the NFL.
Wow.
So if that gives
TD.
a context. But
TD.
I find that hard to believe that there weren't
I guess
people in the early seasons that played 4 or 5 seasons that put up some numbers, and then 50 years down the line, like a Babe Ruth kind of thing, where
I guess I would have never guessed Terrell Davis played
How many
less
years
than
did Jim
8
Brown play?
I would have never guessed Terrell Davis played less than 8 years.
Yeah. He was a stud, though, while he was there.
Right, and he was on good teams.
Yep.
So maybe that plays a part of it.
Yeah, I'm curious how long Terrell Davis.
9 seasons, Jim Brown.
Yep. Because there's another guy that always said left the game early.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you want to go over our MVP Rookie of the Year picks?
Yeah, let's do that. I forgot about that.
I was thinking you were doing that.
Was that we're doing MVP Rookie of the Year?
And coach, if you guys want to do Coach of the Year.
We can do Coach of the Year.
Sure.
Those three.
I debated Offensive Player of the Year. And,
Russ went deep.
I don't know if I'd say that. All right, what do you got first?
MVP, I'm going to go with Rodgers. I said it a couple weeks ago, so I got to stick with it.
I still think Rodgers will end up winning. I think Josh Allen has made it very interesting the last 2 to 3 weeks. Mahomes still an elite quarterback, one of the best players in the league, but I would even argue that Derrick Henry has maybe vaulted himself up to third place in that voting.
I would agree.
So if I had to pick the order, it'd be Rodgers, Allen, and then Derrick Henry.
Yeah, I don't know if they release that because that'd be interesting if depending on how it votes.
I would assume you could find that somewhere.
Probably.
So I'm going to go. I think it's going to be Rodgers. I really do. And I think they were talking about McAfee the other day. He's actually put up bigger numbers this year than he did in previous MVP seasons. He's won the MVP.
This would be his third.
So I think it's going to be Rodgers. I think, like you said, and I did 4 or 5 weeks ago, I said Josh Allen's not in that conversation yet. But if he comes out and plays his ass off for 4 or 5 weeks, it's going to get interesting, depending on what the other guys do. And Josh Allen, in my opinion, from week 12 on, was the best Josh Allen we've seen.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're a little biased being Bills fans, but Josh Allen, to me, has gone from good quarterback last year, very good quarterback first half of this season, to holy shit, this guy's an elite superstar the last second half of this year.
We were texting in the Miami game. This defense is so good. He was doing whatever the hell he wanted.
And so I don't know if you guys saw. So Jordan Palmer, who's his QB coach in the offseason, and Palmer coaches like Darnold and I think Murray is with them, but he said, I don't even think we've seen the ceiling of what Allen can do. He
That's
said,
scary.
he said, I think he is athletically as a quarterback as gifted as we've ever seen. And he said, I don't think we've seen the ceiling for what he can do, which is scary to think about. And I'll have to pull this up real quick
fun
as
to
we're
think
going
about.
through this because there's a stat that's going around.
I have it because he's my first star of the week. So,
all right.
So yeah, it's going to be Rodgers. Then I think it's Josh Allen. And I think the stat you're referring to, he's the first player in NFL history at least 4,500 yards, 35 touchdowns, and 5 rushing TDs.
Yeah.
First player in NFL history to accomplish that. That's impressive.
Which everyone's talking about Rodgers throwing more touchdown passes than their punter punted.
So did Allen.
Time. Allen didn't throw for as many, but total touchdowns, Allen had 41 total touchdowns, and Bajorka has punted 36 times this year, which is crazy.
Are you sure about that? Because I thought I read that he'd thrown more touchdowns.
No, because he threw 35, right? Or 30. Oh, no, actually, he probably did.
Yeah.
Because he threw 3, because I think he was at 30. So he probably did.
Yeah.
He probably threw one more touchdown than Bajorka's
Yep.
kicked punts this year.
Which is impressive as well.
And Bajorka's might be an all-pro.
That dude's
When that comes
ridiculous. Sometimes it's so impressive, he outkicks his coverage, literally.
Quick question off the top of this. Do you think Diggs is an all-pro this year?
Yes. He led the league in receiving yards and catches, didn't he?
Catches and receiving yards.
How's he not?
Yeah, the one stat, because I was debating with him on Offensive Player of the Year. The one stat that hurts him is he only had 8 touchdowns.
Right.
But
I think he probably deserving of all-pro, but I don't think he'll get it. I think Devontae Adams and DeAndre Hopkins will get the 2 all-pro spots. I think there's 2 all-pro spots. Because I think that means a lot more this year. That's what they were saying. Even the Pro Bowl means a lot more to guys this year because there aren't 30 alternatives because of guys hurting and stuff because they're not playing it.
Yeah.
So the Pro Bowl means a lot more this year to guys than previous years.
And one side note, Aaron Rodgers, obviously in Green Bay, they've got the number 1 seed locked up there. One thing that I think some people are going to overlook that they could be in trouble, David Bakhtiari is widely considered the best offensive tackle, potentially offensive lineman in the NFL, and he tore his ACL in practice last week.
Yes.
So that will be interesting how they fare without him under playoff pressure. I know there's other linemen out there on the line, but when you take somebody you consider the best at any position,
and I believe it's on Rodgers' backside.
Yeah, he's the left tackle.
He's the left tackle,
yeah.
So which is even bigger. And obviously we didn't even talk about during the picks, but is Mike Evans playing this week?
Day to day, I think.
So, I mean, he could play, but that could be a huge factor in that.
So to touch on Diggs, real quick, I want to finish up with my MVP. Rodgers, Allen, I agree with Russ. I think Derrick Henry's vaulted over Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes is an extremely talented player, but I still think that he doesn't have the numbers to support it. And then I would put Diggs in the top 5 there. But the 8 touchdowns, it dawned on me. I pulled it up because I did this last year when I was doing stats and stuff. We were talking about the draft and doing those things. I was actually shocked last season, not this current season. Number of players had double-digit touchdowns. You want to take a guess how many it was?
Receivers or?
Receivers.
Probably like 4.
It's 2.
2?
Oh.
It was
Russ got good eyes.
Galladay and Cooper Kupp. And after that, it was couple
Which
guys.
Which is crazy,
at 9,
right? Because Devontae Adams had 17 this year.
18. I think he had 18.
Yeah. So that's
18.
Just for some perspective, like you're talking about that. I mean, last year, leading receiving touchdowns was 11.
But that shows how much Allen
on a team that sucked.
Allen spread the ball around.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He had 37 touchdown passes and Diggs had 8.
Right.
But when you're talking about awards like All-Pro, to me that makes a difference.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Rookie of the year. Obviously, they do an offensive, defensive, but I didn't care about that.
Overall rookie?
They do. Oh, yeah.
They usually do, but I didn't know many defensive rookies.
No,
I had a couple in mind.
Even like defensive player of the year, I didn't have any written down. I don't.
Yeah.
To me, the rookie of the year race is between Herbert. He had 8 300-yard games, which is a rookie record, and I think he's in a battle with Justin Jefferson, who ironically was the pick traded for
Herbert.
For Diggs.
For Diggs, yeah.
Justin Jefferson quietly had 1,400 receiving yards, which was 4th in the league.
It's a rookie record.
All players. Yeah. And 7 touchdowns. So if I had to pick, I'm probably giving it to Herbert. But I think it's a close race between those two.
I think it's one of those two, and I'd probably go Jefferson just because I think it's impressive that he broke that record. And he was the pick for Diggs. And Diggs left that team that we now know because he said it was going to be a run-heavy offense, and he didn't want to be a part of that. It wasn't beneficial to his career, which I don't disagree with. It's definitely been a step up for him coming to Buffalo. So to break that record as a wide receiver rookie, I'd probably have to lean towards Jefferson just because the offense is run-heavy. That'd be my pick.
I'm taking Jefferson as well because he broke the record. 1,400 yards is I don't want Diggs ended up with 15-something.
I'm not sure.
15.
Very rarely do you see
I guess I don't have it written down. 15.
Very rarely do you see a trade that especially with a draft pick, that works out for both teams.
Yeah.
As well as that did.
Yeah.
Obviously vaulted the Bills as well as
Yeah.
And obviously we've downplayed Cousins a lot. The more I think about it, I think we said he's overpaid.
He is.
Minnesota had the 4th ranked offense this year.
They didn't make the play. Did they make? They
didn't make the playoffs.
No.
But to have the 4th ranked, their defense was terrible this year. But to have the 4th ranked offense, you've got to be doing something at quarterback.
I mean, they did win a game with Delvin Cook, like catching screen passes and ran for 280 yards or whatever.
Right, but he gets those stats, right? It's.
I mean, yeah. He's making 30-something, right?
I don't know what it is.
That's a lot.
When he's making more than Brady and Breeze, to me, he's overpaid. I'm not saying he obviously had a good year with their offense, but I still think he's overpaid.
But at that time, his career was, and I don't know the numbers on Brady, but I'm guessing some of Brady's contracts because Cousins is probably only in his, 6th or 7th year?
I'm not really sure.
I don't know.
8th year, maybe? I'm guessing Brady made close to 30-some million. Obviously, he was winning Super Bowls at that time, so that's a big difference. But I think the timing of this, and obviously Minnesota hasn't made the playoffs, which that's what everyone looks at, right? Is he's making all the money, they're not making the playoffs, but their defense hasn't played well, which I think is their biggest issue right now.
A Texans issue.
Yeah, right. They've got Cook, they've got Jefferson, they got Thielen, so they've got the offensive weapons. Their line is getting their offensive line was miserable 2-3 years ago. They're definitely getting better now. Obviously, you can see Cook running better, but I think that'll be interesting where they move forward because I think they're very close to. They obviously, I don't know, finished a game or 2 out of the playoffs this year, so they were right there to the very end. So
Kirk has played 9 seasons already.
9. Well, he didn't even play 9 seasons, probably, right? He's been in league 9 seasons, but
6 with Washington and 3 with Minnesota.
Yeah, and he probably with Washington. I'm sure he played every year, but I'm sure a couple of years he didn't play.
Yeah, because he was there for 6 years, and it says he played in 62 games.
Yeah,
so
that's really 4 seasons.
Yeah, yeah, right around 4.
So,
is that it for NFL?
You want to do Coach of the Year?
We can do Coach of the Year.
This will be interesting how this goes, I think.
I think it's probably McDermott, just continuing what he did last year. I know a lot of people are talking about Rivera, or whatever, because of his, and props to him for battling cancer and
that's a feel-good separate award story to me, not Coach of the Year.
That's like picking Alex Smith as the MVP.
Yeah. like Alex Smith to me is clearly the comeback player of the year. That doesn't make him the MVP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we sound homerish saying McDermott. I forget his name, but whoever's coaching Cleveland.
That's who I put down. Stefanski.
That's a good pick too. Yeah.
I think
he's done. He did well in Minnesota, and obviously he carried it over.
Yeah, no, that's a great pick too. I mean, I think there's a couple guys out there probably deserve it. But.
Obviously, they've got the talent on offense. They should have been good the past couple of years.
Yeah,
and they just never put it together. And Stefanski obviously found something with them. So
yeah.
You don't want to pick one of the multiple interim coaches from the Lions this year.
All right, let's move on to some college football real quick. Congrats to Devonta Smith, whatever you want to say it. Win the Heisman.
My second star of the week.
Second star of the week.
It's not more second star of the year, I'll call him.
Dude.
Rock solid year.
Yeah, deserving. I don't think, especially after that game against Notre Dame, I don't think anyone's surprised by him winning the Heisman.
Right.
That dude, in my opinion, needs to hit the squat rack and build those chicken legs up.
Get some broom handles coming out, doesn't he?
Oh, my God. That's crazy. Yeah. That's all I got. Chicken legs.
Dude, so obviously he played 12 games this year. That includes last week's game against Notre Dame. 105 catches and over 1,600 yards and 20 touchdowns.
Which
is crazy. Especially, right? The SEC's crazy. They played all SEC. They may have played one out of conference game, but they played a 10-game SEC schedule. Yeah, so he played all SEC games, SEC title, and then played Notre Dame.
I thought it was deserving.
And I think he had 5 or 8 games over 100. 8 of the 12 were over 100 yards receiving.
I mean, I guess I wasn't entirely shocked that Lawrence.
That was another bet I made. I won 3 weeks ago.
For him to win the Heisman.
Yeah, he was still like plus 400 at the time, I think.
Oh, that's solid. I mean, I guess I'm not shocked about Lawrence. Lawrence is still going to go on. He already declared, I think, today.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
And he's gone, which
Made a nice video.
Did he? I didn't watch him. Probably won't. Speaking of video, did you guys see the Zoom call of him doing press?
Yeah, I did.
Did you see this?
I did not.
If you want to know the dud of the week,
Jesus.
it was a
now I know what you're talking about.
It was a lady. It was a reporter on Zoom.
They're interviewing him immediately after the game.
Yeah, she forgot to mute her Zoom and made a comment like he needs to shave that mustache.
Just poor Trevor. He needs to shave that mustache. And Trevor just stopped and looked. And you hear another woman. Please mute your microphones if you're not questioning him.
That's funny. I've seen a few things on the internet this week of like people that have cut screen recordings of people like shit talking them because they forget to hit the mute on their mic.
Yeah,
I don't Zoom call a lot, so it hasn't happened to me.
But not that it was like bad,
would,
but
I'm sure.
that happened to NBC. I was watching NBC with everything going on, but they the person in studio was talking to someone at the Capitol, and she said something. She's like, "Oh, did you say something?" Oh, sorry, I was talking to my producer. Like obviously the production crew didn't even have it muted or anything.
So, what are your guys' thoughts on the actual games?
The Alabama game kind of went as I expected. It was a little bit closer. I had a couple units on them, minus 19.5, and it ended minus 17 points.
I totally forgot about this.
I did not. I had them at.
He got it in early.
I got them in early.
He got it in really early.
12 or something, 12 or 12.5, and then I took them again. Or no, I got them in early at 13.5.
Him and I went to PA together.
And then I teased it at 12.5 as well.
You did tease.
Yeah, where did it start at?
It was like 17.
So
it started at 13. I got a 13.5 initially when it first came out.
Yeah, when it first came out.
But then initially it was like a 17.
I was going to tease both games. I mean, it wouldn't have mattered because of the second game.
Right.
But I didn't even like the teasing it. I didn't like the odds. It wasn't really like profitable. Like teasing both games, it was still like it wouldn't have been plus money.
Yeah.
So
I took Alabama. Plus I also took a teaser with both games. Obviously lost it because I just didn't like Clemson the plus 7.5 or whatever, or minus 7.5, and I took them at -1.
I wouldn't. Looking back, I probably would have just played an alternate spread.
Yeah.
I just played it that way instead of like getting a different spread.
Yeah, over 2 touchdowns a lot, and this has happened to Alabama a lot this year. They get backdoor covered. Like they got backdoor covered like 5 or 6 times this year.
It's still Nick Saban's fault.
Right.
It's just, like, what are you doing?
I don't remember if he was texting both of us.
Yeah, I'm like, what are you doing?
He's going nuts. I'm like, I don't know what the issue is because I forgot the spread was 19 because I didn't even have it at 19.
First of all, I don't think Saban was yelling at an official, but he got flagged for being on the field. But I'm thinking you're up like 21 points at that point or 22.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dude, if you really got a problem with a kid up 22 with 3 minutes left, like wait till he comes to the sideline, just pull him aside, and be like, hey man, saw this. Yeah. Like don't bury the kid in the dirt when you're up 21 in a bowl game.
Yeah. So betting aside, I thought there's more talking points in the Clemson game. Clemson got blown out by Ohio State, or got beat handily by Ohio State, I should say. It was comical to me the number of people on social media that were claiming, now Jacksonville should pick Fields over Lawrence.
I hope they do.
Number one overall.
Terrible again for another 5 years.
So I've enjoyed watching Trevor Lawrence. I haven't made that a secret. Couple things here. Okay, Trevor Lawrence is still 34-2 in his Clemson career, and I think you go back to high school. I saw today he's like 84-3 in high school and college football.
Lawrence still had a good game.
Yes,
He
he
threw
did.
for over 400.
So
look up Lawrence's stats from the bowl game. If you can,
so the
please.
keys from this game: Clemson's offensive line looked drunk.
I don't know if I texted you guys or my other group. I said they look like they've never played together before.
Yeah, it wasn't us, but I agree, especially in that second half. I mean, the pressure Ohio State was able to put on Lawrence,
it was ridiculous.
No quarterback in the world, Peyton Manning in his prime, I don't care, would not have succeeded with that offensive line. And I don't know if you want to go down this hole, but you got the forgetting his name, Palmer or something of Clemson's safety who was not in the first half because of his targeting the previous.
No. The Turner, Noah Turner, I think is his name. Noah Turner, I think. The safety, not the linebacker that got kicked out.
Starting safety who had a targeting call the prior game, who therefore couldn't play the first half.
Prior game. Okay.
So that helped Fields downfield in the first half. And then, yes, Skalski or whatever it is got ejected for a bullshit call, in my opinion. So you take him out of the game. And this game was more about Ohio State eating up Clemson's defense than it had anything to do with with Trevor Lawrence.
I've never, and I heard, I don't remember who I was listening to this week, but I've never seen, obviously being a Florida State fan and watching the ACC, I've never seen a Clemson defense look that bad.
It was bad.
Yeah.
They looked bad. And someone mentioned Brett Venables, who's a defense coordinator. They said that was not a Brett Venables defense. They said, I don't know what happened, but that was not the defense that you're used to seeing.
What'd Lawrence have?
400 yards, 33 for 48, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, and sacked twice. But
More impressive. He went through 1 interception with
And
that.
hurried.
He was probably hurried 10 times.
Hurried and hit how many times? So, to me, when I don't watch a ton of college football, so somewhat a casual viewer watching that game, I would think this was Clemson's second string offensive line, and their defense was one of the worst in the country.
Yep.
And to question whether Trevor Lawrence should still be the first overall pick because of those two factors is so ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm guessing we'll get into it later episodes coming up.
The whole
down
draft
the road is the
yeah.
draft because of is Urban Meyer apparently does he become the quarter or the
We'll dig
coach
in.
of Jacksonville? But
We'll dive down that hole.
Nolan Turner was a safety.
Nolan Turner, okay.
Okay.
So, yeah, to go, like I said, 34-2 at Clemson, and your only 2 losses are the championship game, national championship last year, and then the championship playoff game this year. It's
Right.
come on.
So, and even getting into what do you guys think about the game Monday night? Obviously coming up national championship.
Who do I think is going to win?
Yes. Well, yeah, that.
Based on what I saw, I still have a tough time picking against Alabama. If I have to pick, I'm going to pick Alabama. You know, it's a straight up who's going to win the game.
Right.
Ohio State impressed me more than I thought they would. So
Yeah.
I think the game will be closer than I probably would have initially expected. But my gut would still say Alabama's going to win.
I'm going to say Ohio State just because I have watched Alabama secondary this year.
That is the downfall of them. Well, not even their entire because obviously Patrick Surtain might be a top 5 pick, but they don't even throw to him.
So I think their secondary is going to struggle if that defensive line plays like it did against Clemson.
Right, that's going to be the key. Can Ohio State's defensive line play as well as they did against Clemson? But even at that point, I know Travis Etienne's supposedly good, but he broke a lot of records, but he also played 4 years at Clemson, which most good running backs, because they're saying he was better than Delvin Cook. Delvin Cook only played 3 years, and he only had like 600 more yards. So, and he also had like 180 more carries.
Right.
Which is crazy to think about. But that Clemson ETN is not Najee Harris. Harris is unbelievable running the ball, which is I think how they can offset them. And Alabama's got, and supposedly Waddle might be back.
I did see that.
Who probably could have been. Devontae Smith does not win the Heisman if Waddle
Right,
plays
because he
this
doesn't
year.
get the targets and catches.
Waddle might be their best receiver, and he got hurt week 2 or 3.
Yeah.
They're going to have 2 first round wide receiver picks again because they had Ruggs and Judy this year.
Yep.
Those 4 were on the same team last year. If you think about that, that's crazy to think about.
What do you guys think about the? No, go ahead.
Who do you think not that we were going to get into a draft discussion, but does Jamar Chase go above them in the draft?
I think Chase is better, but because of size in the NFL. But
he's big.
Yeah, he's bigger than Smith.
Bigger than chicken legs.
That's right. I don't know. Chase might have chicken legs too. I guess I haven't checked out Chase's legs, but I think Chase will go higher because of size wise. Because Devontae Smith reminds me he's a little bit bigger than Beasley, but I don't think Smith. Right, if you're going to play the slot in the NFL, you got to be ready to take a hit
in the middle. Yeah,
yeah, and I don't know if he's ready for that. I like Bama too, but so obviously there's been a lot of talk about potentially moving the game because of COVID issues with Ohio State, and college football committee came out and said we're not moving it.
Not moving it. There's too much money involved there.
So you and I have talked about this off air about not about college football, but another college sport, college basketball. Do you think Ohio State was trying to move it because Fields is not healthy enough right now, and they know like with another 3 days of rest he would be a lot healthier?
So I was going to ask that question when you asked who we thought would win. Is what exactly is his status? So
yeah,
he said it was a rib injury, is what he said.
Right.
100% believe that.
Yeah.
When I was watching that live, I assumed he had a couple of broken ribs.
That was a clean hit to me.
Yeah.
I don't know where he's supposed to tackle him.
He backed into him. He's spinning, and he backed into him. I don't.
Yes, and he was wrapping him up like at the legs. He stood his ground.
And to me, so they called it. So when I think targeting, to me that means, and maybe I'm getting this definition wrong. To me, targeting is I'm going to tackle you, and I target your head.
So that's what.
Or you're not. It's like a blindside shot.
In
Defenseless
college,
receiver.
the rule says if you lead with the crown of your helmet, which he clearly did. And I did see a replay of a guy in the NFL who made that same tackle, and obviously is never going to play again in the NFL. Is Ryan Shazier made that same exact hit. So I think it's more they want to protect the receivers and quarterbacks and running backs, but at the same time they're trying to protect the defensive players.
But to your point, if he doesn't spin, he's not leading with the crown. Like,
correct.
You can't tackle like Frankenstein.
If he doesn't spin, he hits him with his shoulder pad.
Right.
Like, what are you supposed to do?
I guess that's when I was watching that. That was my thought: was what is Skalski supposed to do there?
Right.
Drop kick him in the fucking head. Like,
yes.
Like, I mean, but
Bobby
seriously,
Boucher.
if you do that, what do you get? 15 yards and you stay in the game?
Right.
It's not targeting.
They kept showing his hit from last year because he got kicked out in the national championship last year, or the semifinal, whatever. Yeah. But last year clearly was a target. He hit him in the head last year, the LSU game.
Yes.
So that was an entirely different hit.
Yeah.
Like, you can't compare the two. But
I was going to ask you guys about, real quick, about the whole, like, Dabble Sweeney. They've been roasting about his comments about he ranked Ohio State 11th. I don't think anybody argued that Ohio State was talented. I don't think he did either. I think the argument there was they've played 6 games.
Yeah, and I still agree with that thought.
Yeah.
That I don't know that they played enough to be eligible, in my opinion.
If Ohio State played 10 games, do you think they play that well against Clemson? I don't.
That's the other question, too.
Right? That was our 7th game of the year. How fresh are they compared to a team that's already played 11 games?
Yeah. You see Saban's daughter tweeted about them trying to push the game.
Oh, no.
She was like, listen, if you want extra days because, you don't want to avoid an ass whipping because your quarterback's on 100%.
I think that might be what it is.
We've talked about this even off air, like
college basketball.
These guys, I think I don't buy in, especially when you got smaller teams. You don't have a football team.
Right.
I don't buy into, we had a COVID test. No, you didn't.
So
you're avoiding an ass whipping right now.
My coworker and I were talking today. He's a big college football fan. But it bothers me because they clearly, you're playing in the national semifinal, right? You had no players ineligible because of COVID issues or whatever you want to call it.
So what have you done since then?
You won that game. You knew you're playing national championship 10 days later. What were you doing that says, oh, I'm better go out and like party?
Yeah.
Like, you could wait 10 days and wait till the following Tuesday.
Yeah.
Like, you are playing. It baffles me, like, what these teams are doing. You had nobody ineligible for the semifinal game, and then all of a sudden you're going to play the national title, and now you have COVID issues?
Yeah, I don't buy into the all of college sports right now. I don't think it's possible you have that many COVID issues if you're, quote-unquote, being careful. Right. It's every day. There's no way it's possible, in my opinion. There's no way. Especially with basketball. You have, 12 to 14 guys? What the fuck are you guys doing that you have COVID issues?
Yeah.
Like,
that's
shouldn't be anybody on campus if
they're
you're
just they're not being careful about it.
Or you just don't want to play that team because it'll look bad and you want to get to that tournament.
Right.
But that's just my personal opinion, and I'm going to stick by that, damn it. All right. Let's move on. I want you to get into hockey, but before I do, a little homework for you guys next week. I turned on the Golf Channel this week. I didn't catch all of it, but I caught some of it. Supposedly, there is a new pace of play policy on tour.
Okay.
And they're not going to target groups. They're going to actually target players.
Finally.
That's how it should be.
Yeah. And they're going to use ShotLink to track the stats.
Love it. Perfect.
So,
also, random golf. See John Rahm switch to Callaway.
I did.
It's kind of odd how much.
That's why I'm not picking on DFS this week.
He claims he got his new setup and then shot a course record 59 somewhere.
Yeah, but
Silverleaf.
But it didn't say he only played 16 holes.
Yeah, executive.
He already had the course record there. It was like 62.
That's exactly why I'm not picking DFS this week.
You ever seen that course?
Because of his equipment?
Because he's switching equipment.
It's not. I think it's pretty hard. Ask for anybody. He used to work there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he used to work there back when, he could tell you. It was Jonathan Kay or whatever. He was a member there. Tim Clark. You remember Tim Clark, the long putter? Tim Clark.
Yellow ball now.
Yep. He was a member there. They call them members. Like Rahm doesn't pay dues there. They call them ambassadors. They're just like given rights to play there. There's a lot of courses like that in Arizona.
As a PGA pro, you should be able to.
Yeah. Did we talk about last week Ogilvy went in the U.S. Open and he didn't win the club championship at his course in Arizona?
Oh, no, I didn't know.
We didn't talk about that?
No, we didn't.
Did you know that?
I've never heard that.
So I was listening to Colton Ost and Derek Anderson was on the Subpar podcast, and they were talking about how there's I think it might be Whisper Rock. There's one of those courses out there. It's like these dudes are legit. Like I've heard Gary McCord talk about it. Like there's Whisper Rock and there's another one. You have to look them up. But they said the one course is like the good old boys club. Like you go there and all the dudes are just rich and they got tour players walking around. And they're pumped about it. And there's other places like you can go hit balls on the range. Tour players, no one's going to talk to you. So those dudes are there and they're going to try to win. That year, the Ogilvy won the U.S. Open. He didn't even win his club championship because he played in it. Like it's like Streelman and all these guys playing this big club out there.
I remember Golf Digest talking about that. Yeah,
That's cool.
He didn't win the club championship, but he won the U.S. Open.
Yeah.
No Pinehurst for him this year.
Another random quick
right.
fact. LeBron James had 2 air balls last night against Memphis.
It's like 3 this year because he had one at the foul line a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
I'm more impressed that you were watching it.
Yeah. I turned it on late in the game. He chucked up an air ball from 3, and the announcer mentioned it was a second.
I was trying my damnedest to find the fucking the World Junior game, the fucking illegal streaming.
Yeah. I didn't even attempt because I know I don't get the NHL network.
Speaking of legal streaming, Dana White's going to crack down on that this year.
I saw a headline on that. How's he going to do that?
I don't know.
What's he going to do?
That was I don't know.
There's nothing he can do.
But speaking of UFC, real quick, they added Dan Hooker and that Michael. What's his last name?
The new guy.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't recall.
They added that to they are the co-main of Poirier McGregor.
What's up? We got 2 weeks till that.
Yeah, it's coming
2
up.
weeks from Saturday, right?
The 23rd or whatever that said.
Go time, man.
I'm pumped for that one.
Yeah. All right, buddy. Give us the hockey news. Can I throw my only?
A lot of hockey.
You're
news.
right. Can we start with mine since I'm not a hockey guy and I do have something I want to mention? Be like, holy shit, this is kind of cool. I get where they're doing it.
I assume
sold
we're
the
gonna
name.
talk about-
Sold the naming rights to the divisions.
Yeah, I have that written down. I don't like it. I think it's stupid. But
It's weird. I mean, I get why they did it. I mean,
Well, they said if they didn't do it, there's like 8 or 9 teams that could have went under
that's why I think they
from
did it. Yeah.
revenue not getting revenue. They said that's why they did it.
Do you know what they did?
Oh, man.
So it's going to be like
They have the 4 divisions.
Eastern Conference sponsored by Geico, and then
it
the
was like-
Southern by
Whoa.
Northwest Mutual.
Don't give them sponsorships they don't fucking pay for
that's
over there.
right.
Jesus, let's get it right.
Kyle's got them written down.
Banks and insurance companies, I'm sure.
Scotia NHL North, Honda NHL West, Discover Central, and the Mass Mutual East.
Look at that.
But you named the wrong one.
Yeah, you can't give them props.
I was in the right industry. I mean, it's pretty obvious.
Yeah, so they're doing that. I get it. I don't know. I find it a little cheesy.
Someone said when there's a trade between Scotia and Mass Mutual divisions, it's just an e-transfer.
For the first time ever, the NHL is also having sponsor logos on helmets.
I did see that. Yeah.
So, I mean, we've seen it in the NBA. Last couple of years, they've had one logo on their jersey. I'm a little nitpicky with.
Does it remind you of Russia?
Yeah, so
that's the first thing I think of.
That's what I don't want it to get to. So
Is it like NASCAR over there?
over in the Russian and Swedish leagues,
Russia's like NASCAR.
I love it.
Over there.
look up like a random
Yamir Yager Russia helmet.
put Yager KHL, and they look like NASCAR cars. Yeah, it's horrible.
Car go fast.
I just hope that the NHL never gets to that because they look stupid.
Does that mean you won't buy a jersey?
Yager's JAGR.
It's Jaromir Jagr, yeah.
Yeah. All right.
And put KHL, which is the Continental Hockey League.
And then click images.
Oh, is that how Google works?
And then you can swipe your finger. It'll scroll on the screen.
And then if you touch one, it opens and makes it bigger.
I think I broke it.
As he's doing that for his own entertainment. So finally, the NHL is starting up next week. So
A week from tonight.
Yep.
Wednesday.
Next Wednesday. So we've already mentioned a few of these details, but they're doing 56 games, which is shortened from their typical 82. So it is a shorter season. The thing that's very different this year, they've got the 4 divisions that you've already named. You only play teams within your division. So traditionally, what do you got there?
I don't know. Maybe it's because,
let me see the picture you got.
Maybe it's because they're in like Russian letters when they put. You're talking about the big.
Yeah,
I'm
looks
talking
like
about
a
the
bumper
whole
sticker on their
jersey.
forehead.
Yeah, the whole jersey
The
and
jersey,
everything.
too.
Their pant legs.
yeah, it's all in Russian,
It's
so
in
obviously
Russian,
you can't
so
read
it doesn't even look
Yeah.
like an ad to me. That's,
Okay.
But
Um,
those are all ads.
It's like someone fell asleep on the keyboard.
So traditionally in the NHL, you play teams in your own division. I don't know. I think it's like 6 times. You play the other division in your conference like 3 or 4, and then you play the Western the opposite conference twice. So you play every team in the National Hockey League during a normal season. So this year, you only play the teams within your division, which puts a lot more emphasis on every game because every game has playoff implications. Therefore, traditionally, we're Sabres fans, you and I. If you lose a game to the Los Angeles Kings, the Kings didn't gain ground on you in the Eastern Conference.
Can you say how pumped I am for no 10:30 start times this year?
Yeah, that is one good point. I hadn't thought about that.
Now the Canadian region will still have that issue because
That's gonna be a travel nightmare for some of those.
Oh
teams.
yeah, because they're going from Vancouver to Montreal.
So one of the divisions is all Canadian because of the issues going over the border right now.
I thought they fixed that because I texted you the other day. And
No, they fixed allowing Canadian teams in their arenas.
okay,
Up until a couple weeks ago, so Canada's got like tighter restrictions right now, and they had restrictions on number of people gathering in events or whatever, and the number was small enough that like a hockey team couldn't go practice. So they lifted the restrictions, allowing a team that now allow these teams to get in their facility and practice.
Which the NHL, I think the 30th or 31st of December was the first time they could practice together.
Yeah,
I think was the day.
Yep.
busy that day, New Year's.
No, it was New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
So the playoffs this year, there's going to be 16 teams total, 4 teams from each division. And then the first 2 rounds of the playoffs are also only in your division. So the Mass Mutual Eastern Division, where the Sabres play, that division will have 4 teams in the playoffs. First round will be team ranked 1 against 4, and then 2 against 3. And then the next round will be the 2 remaining teams. At that point, each division basically has a champion. And up until that point, you've only played teams in your division. So each division will produce a champion. I don't know how they're going to seed those 4 champions, but
I don't think they fucking know either yet.
yeah.
What do they do about travel? Can you, if they're in Canada and
Well,
can the U.S.
Well,
go?
up until this point, there is no inner.
I'm
there is no
guessing
travel between
they're
them.
hoping by June
They'll have it
they
figured out.
they won't
Yeah.
have to worry about it as much.
Okay. That's
And-
wrong.
And teams have traveled. The World
And-
Juniors was just in Canada,
Yeah.
so they've figured it out a little bit.
Yeah.
And there would only be one matchup that involves Canada after that because there would only be one team in Canada. So each division will produce 1 champion after the first 2 rounds of the playoffs. That leaves 4 teams. They'll then meet up somewhere.
They should just
have
play
s-
a round
have
robin at that
semi-
point.
Yeah.
Civic Center over in Corning, New York.
Yeah. They'll have a semifinal and then a cup.
They should just
so
do
the-
a round robin, then do 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3.
Yeah. So the only chance of playing a team not in your division is in basically the semifinals and the cup finals. And this will be the first year since I don't know when where
East
the
versus
cup
West.
the cup finals could be 2 traditional Eastern Conference
Right,
teams.
you could have
Yeah, technically
probably
you
not going
could.
to happen, but you could have Toronto versus Buffalo in the Cup Finals.
Right, correct. Because
Which
they're-
That would be
crazy.
because they're
fantastic.
technically in different
Yeah,
divisions.
which is crazy to think about.
You think, well, no, that couldn't happen. They're both in Canada. I was thinking Calgary and Edmonton, the Battle of Alberta,
yeah.
which is probably the fiercest rivalry in hockey.
Love-
Right now. It's
love
like a
watching those games.
bloodbath. They get to play each other 10 times, but yeah, that would have been amazing seeing them in like a cup final. So those are the basics of the year. There's a few players I want to touch on in a minute, but one cool event they've announced is going to happen out in the Lake Tahoe area. the end of February. Traditionally, the NHL does the outdoor game on New Year's Day.
Which I do watch, by the way, usually.
Yeah, so they couldn't do that this year.
I assume that's getting Minneapolis is supposed to have it this year. I assume they'll just move that to next year for them. I don't know how far in advance they have those set. I haven't looked.
Yeah, I think they have 2 years or something. Yeah, I would assume they just
Move them back.
delay them by a year. So they're going to Lake Tahoe. They're going to the Edgewood Tahoe Golf Course. That golf course is in State Line, Nevada, and it's the home of the American Century Championship Golf Tournament, which is the celebrity golf tournament we all see
The
on
Reno
TV.
Tahoe Open, right? Is that what they call it?
No. This is the American Century.
American Century Champion.
This is the celebrity one.
The one where we always see like Bill Murray show up.
Oh,
and
gotcha. I know what you're talking
There's
about.
that par 3 with the lake on the
They
right.
play by a different format and everything.
AJ Hawk,
Yeah,
he's
they
a
play
Spears fan.
Stableford.
Yeah, you'll see football players.
Barkley's killing guys with his drives.
It makes Tony Romo think he should go play professional golf. Yeah.
That tournament.
Yeah. Sorry.
So on
I got a story for you.
So that golf course, somewhere around the 16th, 17th, and 18th hole, they're building a small hockey arena, I guess. They're basically building the ice. There's probably not going to be a whole lot else to it. So they're actually going to be playing 2 NHL games on that golf course. February 20th is going to be Colorado against Las Vegas. And then the next day, February 21st, is going to be Philadelphia against the Bruins.
So wait, are these games taking place on the pond that
They're building. They're building a
They're
rink
building a
they're building
rink.
a rink? Okay.
Yep.
because they get snow out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, they're building a rink somewhere around the 16th, 17th, 18th hole.
I hope it's close and you can they're playing and you can have people out on their boats watching from there.
Yeah.
So I was confused because it said they were not. I read 2 different articles that said the same thing. We're not allowing fans, but we're going to allow up to 400 people. I'm like, what the fuck does that mean?
So out there with these events, right now they're allowing 400 people, but that includes, so that's their number for gathering. So that includes the teams, the officials, the doctors,
And probably family.
replay. So
I could have had my Christmas party this year out there.
you've probably got to throw, 75 to 100 people just for the 2 teams.
Right.
And if you have, I don't know if they would do this, like the first game, the Avs in Vegas, I don't know if you would have the Flyers and Bruins there to, I don't know, you could just go watch the game kind of thing.
Oh, true.
I don't think they're allowing fans in there.
Yeah, it said no fans, but 400 people. So I was confused.
So the reason, this is cool because they can't have fans, it's cool that they're kind of setting it up in a weird location on a golf course. It gives them the opportunity to do that because they don't have to worry about sitting 20, 30,000 fans.
They said they're focusing more as a broadcast thing.
Yeah.
And a broadcast entertainment thing.
They should do it on Farmer John's Pond in Saskatoon.
So they had 2 other places they looked at.
Captain Michigan over there. Saskatoon.
Saskatoon's Canada, but that's Saskatchewan.
Yep.
It's all the same. We might as well change that border over there.
I don't know. Park City in Utah was another place of that. And then Lake Lucid up in Alberta, so I don't know if you've seen the pictures at my parents' house. It's up in the Banff area in Canada and Canadian Rockies. That water is as blue as you've ever seen. My parents went there on vacation probably 5-6 years ago. Maybe longer than that. And they have pictures from it and they have them framed on their wall. But it's incredible. It's that's not real.
No.
It doesn't look real.
That's the aesthetic I'd like to see. It's almost like a traditional, the way hockey was brought up. To see them go back.
I think the issue with that is you would have had to have 4 Canadian teams.
And trying to build everything there would be kind of a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Can't really Zamboni it between.
Yeah, at least this way you get 2 different divisions playing. Yeah. Whereas if it was in Canada, you wouldn't have had the American teams being able to travel.
Yeah. Couple quick player notes. So Jonathan Taves, he's the captain of the Blackhawks. He's been their heart and soul for over a decade now, 3 Stanley Cups. He is not reported to camp. He has some sort of an undiagnosed illness that doesn't sound good. Something he said he's all of a sudden got 0 energy. He can barely.
They can't figure it out.
It's in these COVID times, you immediately think of that. It sounds like it's not that. You hope it's not some form of cancer or something. But he is therefore not reporting to camp, and as of right now is not a Chicago Blackhawk. So hopefully he gets better. Henrik Lundqvist, we talked about his whole situation getting bought up by the Rangers, ended up signing with Washington. He has been diagnosed with some sort of a heart condition and has to have a major open heart surgery.
He had the surgery, didn't he?
I don't know if he had it or he's having it soon.
Yeah,
but either way, he finally left the New York Rangers and went to Washington, and now he's out for the year. So I don't know if that's going to end his career or not.
It was open heart surgery, I believe, is what I read.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
and Zdeno Chara, who is probably, when he went from Ottawa to Boston, whatever it's been, 12 years ago, it was 2006, so 14 years ago, arguably the best free agent signing in NHL history.
yeah.
So he's played over, I think he's up to 1,500 games in the NHL now. 1,000 is a good benchmark. He's played over 1,000 just with Boston. Stanley Cup, for a stretch, he was the most dominant shutdown defenseman in the NHL, maybe the NHL's ever seen.
Right, he's like 7 foot on skates.
Yeah. Captain of the Bruins for a long time. So he apparently had a little riff with the Bruins. The rumor is they told him if he came back to the Bruins, his role was going to be reduced. And the rumor is that that wasn't minutes per game. It was, hey, we're going to scratch you for like half the season. You're only going to play every other night or something. Which to me, that's a tough look to tell your captain that we're going to healthy scratch you probably half the season.
Yeah, that's no.
And he wasn't comfortable with that. So he decided to leave Boston, signed with Washington. So
For like $800,000.
yeah, it can't be much over the
And he's
veteran
probably
minimum.
making what, 6 or 7 a year? 6 or 7 million. He was making.
Not recently, no.
But well, in his prime, probably like 5-6 years ago. He was probably making around that.
When he went from Ottawa to Boston in 06,
he got a huge
it was
deal.
7.5 million,
Yeah.
which back then was massive
huge.
numbers.
Wow. I'd take it, I guess.
So he's moved on to Washington. It's one of those, if you're not like a big time hockey fan, it's one of those that's going to be odd seeing this guy in a different uniform, that kind of situation.
And he's still very good, like shut down penalty kill.
One of the best penalty
defenseman.
killers still in the NHL. Yeah. To round this into form, so the Bruins have now lost Zdeno Chara and Torrey Krug. Their top 2 left-handed defensemen. They've got Charlie McAvoy, who's a certified ace back there, and Brandon Carlo, who's a
Certified ace.
serviceable defenseman.
Yeah.
But you've got the Bruins who let Krug and Chara walk in free agency, and the Bruins now have one of the weakest defenses probably in the Eastern Conference.
Right.
It's good for the Bill or the Sabres, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sabres defenses could be questionable too.
Sabres going to be interesting to watch this year.
They could be very good or just look miserable again.
I think their top 6 on offense
could compete with a lot of
is going to
teams.
be potentially the best in the NHL even. And then their defense is rather weak.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw the official measurements came out. So Eichel is, I believe, 11 or 12 pounds heavier than last year.
I did not see.
And Rasmus Dahlin was like 13 or 14 pounds heavier. They say Dahlin looks...
Eichel's got better lettuce than you.
Yeah,
Whoa,
That's not
come on.
right.
He
Come
didn't.
on.
He didn't. But I don't know what happened during
That's-
COVID. But he let it go.
That's a fucking great mullet over there.
Eichel pretty much has had a mullet.
We can touch it up, too.
Till this year.
Next week we'll
lines in the
maybe some
eyebrows.
lines.
That sounds
Not
like
the
a-
eyebrows, but maybe in the side here.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I like that.
Full vanilla ice.
So, yeah, by the time we record next week, we will have a couple games in the books on Wednesday.
And we'll give you some predictions next week.
Yeah,
as
so
well.
we'll do-
We'll probably be watching games as we're
Yeah.
recording next
we
week.
100% will.
I think games start at 5. There's a triple header next Wednesday.
Yes.
I think it's like 5 o'clock is the first game.
Probably.
Something like that. So
Yeah.
I'll be here.
So, yeah, next week
right.
we'll... I know you're not huge hockey fans, but we'll dive into how much we want to predict. We'll have some predictions next week for the NHL. My favorite sport, so I'm looking forward to it.
Crazy how fast it's back again.
Yeah.
it's been forever since the Sabres played.
For most teams, there's the 7 teams that weren't in the bubble, Buffalo
long
being
time.
one of them, that have not played since like late February or something.
Yeah.
So
Late
that
February, March.
those
Like-
teams, so camps are open now. Those teams actually got to open camp like 6 days earlier than the teams that were in the bubble. So It'll be interesting to see these teams that haven't played in almost a calendar year.
And speaking of hockey, well, I'm guessing we'll get into it because I'm guessing you and I are similar on stars. Maybe.
Oh,
from last night.
I don't have where you're going.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll get in. I guess we'll get into it.
Are we getting into stars?
Anybody got anything else?
Another random fact: the Portland Trailblazers. First time I've ever seen this.
Well, not on that. I got another NBA note.
I've come up with a few random facts over the holidays here. I don't know. There can't be many instances of this. I noticed watching Portland. So Damian Lillard wears number 0, and Carmelo Anthony wears number 00. There can't be too many pro sports teams that have had a player wearing 0 and 00.
Isn't it the same number? I'm a math guy. I think it's the same number.
I would accept that argument. So
I'll give you a jersey fact that they don't follow in the NBA. Most basketball jerseys, each number, it could be, if it was 15, the highest number on one side couldn't be any higher than 5.
Just calling fouls.
Oh, fouls. They go to the.
Oh, okay.
You didn't know that, did you?
No, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Which is funny because even like NBA is totally different from college because if a guy wears like 7, he's just like. Whereas in college, that would be like 52 or 25.
Yeah, right. Yeah. In the original days of hockey in general, I guess.
There must be a screw right here. My cap is catching.
Because goalies now, 10 years ago, traditional all goalies were a number in the 30s pretty much. So in the original days, hockey teams had 30 players. Your starting goalie wore number 1, and your backup goalie wore number 30. So that's why 1 and the 30s have always been like goalie numbers.
So obviously NFL's got similar rules because I believe like if depending on what position you play, you can only wear a certain number.
Yes,
it's been a little more lenient in the years because receivers could never wear like single digits and teens, but now they can. But yeah, so I didn't know that about hockey. That's pretty. Yep.
Football should go to Roman numeral numbers, just like they do for the Super Bowl. Just
but then you would know a number there.
Offside. Number VI.
Yeah, like 37. Carry the one.
Guy's got a book.
Guy's got the whole thing. It's like wrapped around the front of him. Another NBA note. To offset financial issues or losses due to COVID, NBA is considering 2 expansion franchises. Apparently they lost enough money.
To offset financial
losses during COVID. They're considering 2 franchises.
You know where they're going to go, right?
Yeah.
Seattle and Vegas.
I know.
That's my guess.
Vegas is a sports hotbed right now.
Yeah.
You got Seattle with the NHL team coming in. Did you notice?
Why not Buffalo? Buffalo had an NBA team.
They'll bring back the Supersonics.
Yeah. Did you notice?
Flint Tropics.
I don't want to talk about him right now. But when Harden finally returned to Houston for camp, a couple weeks ago,
and he was fat,
they showed him in whatever their arena name is. I can't remember. There were hockey boards in the arena around the basketball
they're not taking
court.
them down.
Houston doesn't have a hockey team.
Oh.
So there was...
Yeah, they do. The Arrows, right? AHL team.
Do they play in that arena?
I don't know if they play in that arena, but they have an AHL team.
And the AHL isn't starting...
They don't even know if they're going to play.
Late February.
As you said the other day, you and I were texting the other day, you don't even know if they'll have a season.
Houston, I think the NHL's done expanding for a while, but the rumor when the Seattle was going on that Houston was in the mix. So could there be a team that's looking to move or something?
It's not just happenstance. Like, is Texas doing high school sports and they had their state championship in the arena?
There is zero chance there's
high school hockey in Texas.
Houston, Texas.
Especially in...
There's not even college hockey that far south.
I think it's...
Huntsville, Alabama.
You could be... I think you're onto something.
Yeah. It just looked like they were trying to outfit this arena for, hey, if we need to bring a hockey franchise in here, how can we do it?
Yeah. Or do they do like if they have to go to a bubble, do you go to someplace like Texas because you can have fans?
Well, that could be too. That maybe that's where the Stanley Cup's gone, even though they don't traditionally play in a neutral site.
Speaking of hockey, and obviously it's not a big deal now. I've been looking at the Seattle Kraken hats, and I'm like, I really like the hats, the shirts. Like, I was thinking about buying one. And then they fucking hired Jason Botterill, and I'm like, fuck that. Yeah, I'm done.
All these guys.
Assistant GM.
Seattle will be terrible for fucking 10 years, so don't worry.
You ready to get into stars?
Sure.
All right. My third star, I had to give it to Justin Fields just because I felt like Ohio State was considered somewhat of an underdog in that game. 385 yards, 6 touchdowns, and his win over Clemson. So I had to give it to Fields.
Somehow in all this mess, we've only mentioned one of my stars, so I'm feeling good. My third star, a man that I think people have counted down and out, Steph Curry dropped a career-high 62 points on Sunday against Portland.
Our NBA expert over here.
So
Yeah, he is.
I've been watching an odd amount of NBA the last couple weeks. So, yeah, Curry, 62 points. That's no small feat in the NBA.
Right.
I watched like a shitload of college basketball yesterday. I also watched like 4 hours of 2.5 Men the night before.
I love 2.5 Men. Seasons 1 through 8, when Charlie Sheen was on there, you can quiz me anything and I will get it.
You know an episode was on the other night, and you'll love it because it was one of your fantasy names back in the day. Vodka Knockers.
Vodka Knockers. The name is Vodka Knockers.
My third star is Antonio Williams. It wasn't crazy.
No to the Hall of Fame. I just don't know who it is.
The Bills practice squad running back. They called up this week.
Yeah.
12 carries, 63 yards, 2 touchdowns, and caught a catch for 20 yards.
Dude, that guy hits the hole pissed off. And when he hits the line goes that way.
Like a fourth-string practice squad running back. I'll file that under the reasons Miami shouldn't be in the playoffs.
Right.
Was it you that liked a tweet that I saw? This is the Bills' backups are the second best team in the AFC East.
Yeah.
This kid likes so many tweets, it takes up half of my Twitter feed. People that I don't follow that he's liking. Who's it? Scott Coleman, your Braves source?
Oh,
my feed is full of his shit during baseball season from you liking it.
he just lives out in Arizona. Just a little
This is
guy
somebody
out there.
I don't follow that I know who he is and what he does because he likes everything. It's like there's a contest, like a free tickets to whoever likes the most tweets at the end of the
My
year.
boy Scott Coleman.
Do you have any stars this week or you just got duds?
I'm just vibing through the stars. Yeah, go ahead.
All right.
Proceed.
My second star is he was also a star last week, but I got to give it to him again. Baker Mayfield in the Browns. That was a tight game. That is what it is. It's football. Anybody can win week to week. But Mayfield went out on that final drive and picked up like 3 or 4 first downs running the ball. Yeah. Keep that clock moving and not, punting it. So congrats to the Browns fans, man. 18 years, no playoffs. I know what it's like.
I like that they're in the playoffs.
I do too.
I think it'll be fun.
At least we were only 17.
Yeah, true. Sabres might break that soon.
Come on, we're only at 13.
My second star, we've already mentioned, Derrick Henry got 2,000 rushing yards. I believe only the 8th running back all time to get 2,000 rushing
Something
yards.
like that.
He's now 5th on the list of the 8.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I don't think it's been done since Perderson, probably. Yeah. So, Derrick Henry, my second star.
A couple guys. Chris Henry was probably close. Maybe that was before. He might be one that hit 2,000. Right? Is that his name? Titans.
I don't know.
Fucking Chris Johnson. Yeah, Chris Johnson. Guy that fucking
Chris
flew.
Johnson. Yeah.
Right? What did I call?
Chris Henry.
Oh, same thing. Chris Johnson.
Those two had a
Derrick
kid.
Henry.
Gotcha. There's
both.
Chris Johnson. Gotcha.
My second, we already mentioned Devontae Smith. Start of the year.
Okay.
My first we already mentioned was Josh Allen.
Okay. My first, so we haven't recorded in 2 weeks, so I got to go back to Christmas Day. Alvin Kamara against Minnesota rushed for 155 yards and 6 touchdowns.
And Sean Payton robbed him of that record.
Yeah, because that tied the all-time record for rushing touchdowns.
Sorry, Alvin. You're going to have to take a seat here. We're going to put Taysom in to run one in here.
Yeah, so, 6 touchdowns, 1 game. Does that show how bad Minnesota's defense is, I guess?
Yeah. Before I get to my first star, shout out, though, to, I'm going to forget somebody, Russell Wilson, Drew Brees. I'm missing a guy for getting guys extra money this past week on contract.
Oh, yes.
So I have some honorable mentions.
All right. So my first star is the United States of America World Junior team winning the championship last night against Canada.
Canada's just America's hat.
2-0. Canada was dominant all tournament.
Yeah.
And there was a few, I know a podcast that Russ and I both listened to, they gave some predictions, and the producer of it predicted the U.S. would win 1-0, and you wouldn't believe the tweets that got sent to him saying, this guy is crazy for thinking that the U.S. is going to shut down Canada's offense, all this stuff. Like, U.S. goes in there. U.S. individually talented, Canada by far over talent. But as a team perspective, that U.S. team was unbelievable.
This year's Canada team, I believe, has 19 kids that have already been drafted in the NHL.
Right.
Which is just stupid.
Yeah.
Is World Juniors, so
under 20.
You have to be 19 by some date. So there's a couple kids that have hit their 20th birthday, but yeah, so this is basically 17 to 19-year-olds, and they already have 19 kids that have been drafted.
They played. I found the illegal feed of the game after like 45 tries.
It wasn't on TV?
It was on NHL Network, but I don't have it.
That nobody gets. I don't get it either. It's locked.
But it was a hell of a game. I think I picked it up with like 12 minutes left in the second period, which was already 2-0 at that point. But it was a great game, and shout out to the U.S. And even another note on that, because of all the NHL camps already happening, a lot of teams sent chartered flights up to Edmonton, which is where the tournament was being held because they were playing in a bubble, to bring guys back to their camps, because as soon as they did that, they only had to quarantine for a certain number of days instead of if they came back like with family or with the team. It was like 14 days. Now it's only like 7 or something. So in Buffalo in particular, Buffalo had a guy on two guys.
Team.
Yeah, a guy on each team. And they chartered a flight back last night, and they will be ready for next Thursday for opening night. And a lot of teams, Canada and U.S., I think there was a group of 10 guys that sent guys a chartered flight down to Southern Cal.
Yeah.
That played for the Kings. And they sent, it was like 8 guys from both teams got on a flight after the game and went down.
Those guys in Buffalo. So Dylan Cousins and Jack Quinn that you're mentioning, I think it was Kruger today, said Cousins, without saying it, he basically said Cousins will be in the lineup opening night. He said he's in the mix. And they said Quinn, they're looking to develop, so I don't expect him to be in the lineup.
Yeah, we talked about that.
So I'll throw my honorable mentions out here. I wrote these down because we've talked in the past, and we'll wrap it up with your dud. We talked about the contracts and stuff and incentives. So they always talked about it, and it's always week 17. So here they are. Emmanuel Sanders needed 8 catches. He got those 8 catches, and that was an additional $500,000.
It was great watching him get that 8th one.
Yeah.
He knew it because he caught it. Was like a 7-yard in route.
He knew what it was.
He caught it, and he dropped down, and he just puts his hands up in the air. Everybody, the announcers were even like, what the hell's going on?
Leonard Floyd for the Rams needed a half a sack to get 10 sacks for $1.25 million. He got his half a sack. I think he might have had 2 sacks, or at least. Tom Brady needed to finish top 5 in the NFL passing for another $562,000. He did that. He finished 3rd. Antonio Brown needed, I believe, 42 passes or 45
yards. You mean?
Was it? No, he needed catches.
For the year. For the year.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then he caught 3 shovel passes from Brady to get another $250K. The man that fell on his ass and didn't cash, Andy Dalton. The Cowboys needed to win to make the playoffs. He got an extra $1 million, and they did not.
One guy you missed, David Moore, was a big fact on Seattle.
Yep.
He needed 1 catch, and Russell Wilson, they could have kneeled the ball, said he called the play, and everybody was like, what the hell's going on? He called a little shovel pass to David Moore, and he got an extra $100,000.
Shit.
And he goes, they asked him about they're like, why'd you do that? Because you could have just kneeled it and ended the game. He said, I just got David Moore $100,000, and that feeds his family and helps everyone around him.
Yep.
He said, that's why we did it.
Yep.
And there was I forget if it was Rodgers or maybe McAfee was just talking about it Monday, I think. When I was watching.
Get that back.
He said your coaches are always saying like, "Oh, get that money," but then they'll be like in the third quarter, be like, "Oh, you're coming out of the game."
Yeah, it's coming.
So
from
they
the top.
always say it, but the up top's like, "Oh no, don't let him get that bonus." He said you always see guys doing that.
Hit us with a dud.
Well, it's kind of last minute, but I think we didn't address it enough when we were talking about coaches. We sort of said about McDermott, but I think it's rare for us to see a quarterback and the coach relationship to be as tight as what we're seeing in Buffalo. Like, obviously, Tom and Bill, they looked close, but now that they're apart, we realize that they weren't actually close. McDermott has said that he thinks that Allen is like his son, and you see them hug each other and love each other. I think that that's underlooked. I know he's coach of the year last year, and that's why I think we stayed away from it, but just seeing the way that he's brought cohesion to the team, it's a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah.
I think we all know who the dud of the week is. It's Doug Pederson. But at the same time, he almost gets a star of the week for just straight up big dick energy. I mean, he didn't care about what it was the backlash really, which I think he deserves. But it's hard to really put him in the dud category too hard because at the end of the day, we talked about the other teams put themselves in that position. You don't put yourself your back against the wall and then start blaming other people.
Yeah.
Adding on to that, I don't know if you guys saw the following night the Sixers were playing. NBC Sports Philadelphia Sixers were big. They tweeted, the Sixers taking out their starters in the fourth quarter. No one tell the Giants.
I did see that.
One last little thought. I'm so excited that golf is back. Just seeing all the highlights of them in Hawaii is getting me going.
I'm pumped.
One other note, they did make it official this week. The entire NCAA tournament will be held in Indianapolis.
The entire tournament.
Yeah.
Entire tournament. They announced 2 sites, Lucas Oil Field and another.
Yeah, I forget where. But so it will be held in Indy.
All right, gentlemen. It's good to have you back. Till next week.